Good morning, everyone. Today I am here with my friend. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Go.
Hey everyone.
Yeah. Um. So this is one of my friends who I previously interviewed before, and now we're here together, uh, bringing up a big issue that matters to us both the most, which is talking about mental health. Because mental health does matter. Um, and we figured, why wait till May when you can talk about mental health right now? Mental health awareness month is in May, but um, I mean, come on. I'm just gonna put it to you this way: mental health happens every single day of our lives. It's just not once, 1 month a year. So I'm gonna shut up now, and I'm gonna let her take over. Go for it.
Hey everyone. My name is Shalise, and I'm also known as the Autistic Travel Goddess. And by the way, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube as well. Shalise, the Autistic Travel Goddess. I'm a travel blogger and a lifestyle coach. So I write a lot of content about lifestyle for people with autism, as well as travel with autism. So that's what I do.
Cool, cool. Talk to us about mental illness. I mean, this is our show. This is just not my show. This is both of us.
Yeah.
So uh, feel free to start the conversation.
Well, the other day, those of you who, if you do follow me on Facebook or any of the platforms, you know that I talk a lot about mental health, and especially my own struggle with mental health. On top of being autistic, I also struggle with depression and anxiety. And with that, it makes it hard for me to not only be productive, but it makes it hard for me to, sometimes have the will to do basic things on a day to day basis. And it really gets in the way of my perception of things a lot. And it's actually gotten to the point for me some days where it's made it hard for me to even like make decisions, or it's even got me in trouble a lot of times. So like the thing about it is people are quick to look at the outside. They're quick to look at, okay, you have this degree, you're accomplished, you have all of this going for you, right? And they think that you shouldn't be depressed. They think that you should not be mentally ill, that there's nothing wrong with you. You should be happy because you have all of this, right? But that's not the case. That is not. It's actually sometimes people who are really accomplished. Sometimes they're more prone to being mentally ill because of this expectation that society has on them to pretend that everything's all right when it's not.
Yeah, and it's true for any one of us that has a diagnosis of a mental illness, or may not know that you are a person who has mental illness, or is afraid to even admit it. Um, it's a struggle that we all face. How have you been facing mental illness?
By facing, you mean like how does it affect me?
Yeah, how has it been affecting you?
Well, for me, depression has really like how do I even begin to discuss? In the sense that it's really been getting in the way of my hope, like my sense of hope in life. It's really, been making me kind of hesitant to pursue new opportunities because of past trauma that I've had, past trauma of being bullied, and I've had trauma where I was discriminated against being African American and being autistic. And so as a result of that, that depression kind of holds me down to where it's hard for me to come out of my box and, meet people, talk to people, and get out of my comfort zone. And it also makes it hard for me to have a sense of confidence. And so I have to work extra hard to have a sense of confidence because of the fact that there's all of these things that work to like destroy my sense of confidence. And the other thing is like, I'm not even gonna lie, like I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, but some days it gets really bad, when I think about the things that have happened to me because of being discriminated against and because of being who I am. it's made me so depressed to the point where it's hard to get out of bed sometimes. Like I have to force myself to get out and do something. And I posted, yesterday I actually made a post about how if I sit still long enough, then I dwell on it a lot. Like I dwell on my past, I dwell on, everything that's wrong with me and everything I think is wrong with me. And if I sit still too long, then those thoughts spiral out of control and it causes me to like act out. And so I can't sit still very long. Like I purposely overburden myself with things. Like I purposely like I'm constantly staying busy. I'll, overextend myself at work or I'll overextend myself with school and things like that just to keep myself occupied. Because if I stay still too long, then those thoughts overtake me. And it's not good when that happens.
Yeah. I mean, racing thoughts can be very challenging thing for
Absolutely.
as a person with a mental illness. It's challenging. Um,
It
I
feels like,
I, I haven't had that, but
mm,
I know some of my friends who have that diagnosis of having racing thoughts, and they have explained to me how it is on a
it
daily
feels a
basis.
lot like it almost feels like, how do I explain it? I guess the best way I could say is that it feels like someone, choking you and they can't let up or something. Like it feels like someone is attacking you and they won't let up. That's what that feels like. That's the best I could explain it.
Wow. Yeah. And I guess to this point, I would have to say is that I mean, people won't know how it feels until you experience mental health illness for yourself. Um, what have been some of your go tos? Because us as mental illness, we have to have a plan, in place when
Right.
when it gets to that point. So, what has been your go to to keep you from thinking those thoughts?
Honestly, I have not figured out that solution, to stop those thoughts from happening in the first place. I've not figured out the secret to that. And if anyone has, please let me know. I will be happy to take it. But the only thing I can do now is, when they do come, like the best I can do is sometimes like try to mitigate them. And by doing that, I like have a support system where I talk to a close friend of mine or my younger sister. And another thing that I do is I travel. Like I make it a point to go somewhere and get my mind away from, the location that I'm at. Because sometimes changing scenery helps me to distract myself. And quite frankly, sometimes I can't do either of those two things. So the best way that I can think of is, frankly, I have to just write it out. Like sometimes I just have to sit there and ride that wave. Quite frankly, like there's really no shortcuts for it sometimes.
Do you keep a journal of what's going on throughout the day? Like
I definitely do.
you do? Yeah,
I do.
because I know that helps a lot. That has helped me in the past to keep a journal of the racing thoughts or the emotions I feel at the moment.
Yeah.
I know that is something that has helped me in the past. Also, looking for the help you need, um, because there are many providers out there. I was watching your video the other day, the one that you even talked about to the point that you were thinking about suicide, and I was like, wow. And that's why I had to message you right away and tell you you're not the only one who has been through that. I've been there, and I'm glad that I have the support system that I have. But at the moment, when you're thinking about that, you don't think about nothing else.
Right. And it's like it's intense. And the thing about it is like it's hard to speak out about that because people want to say that you're attention seeking or they want to say that they want to somehow minimize what you're feeling. And that's why it's hard to speak out about these things because, you get these people who not only think that you should not feel that way because you have this, that, and the other, but you get these people who think that you're just being dramatic for no reason, you're exaggerating all this, and they trivialize it and it makes you feel like, well, am I really? Is this real? Am I really trivializing it? Like, it makes you scared to speak up about it for that reason.
Yeah, yeah, and then it's sad that you know uh, some of our own friends have decided to walk different paths because they don't understand our mental illness,
Right.
or they don't want to understand what we're going through.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't want to understand. Like, it's not that I used to think it's not that, that people just didn't understand. And to an extent, I think that there are some things people just don't understand. But I think a lot of times people don't want to invest the time to understand because it takes a lot of, effort, research, and it takes a lot of, compassion to do that. And people just don't want to do it.
Yeah. So what can you tell me right now? How do you feel at this moment right now?
Honestly, I'm glad to be on this interview with you because it like keeps me occupied. But prior to this interview, I was like actually just got finished crying before this interview. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm brutally sad all the time, and it's because of something personal that is going on with me as well. Because I mentioned that not only did I have a lot of deaths recently in my family, but due to the pandemic, I also had something personal go on with me recently that was very traumatizing, and it's just I can't like that's what made me say what I said the other day because it's like wow, like how much more is a girl supposed to bear?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm not a female, so I you might say I might not understand what you're going through, but I'm with you. I'm with
Right.
you. And I'm with, and
That applies to anyone, not just females, but I'm just saying girl because of me.
yeah. Um, yeah. You were talking about the other day about taking a trip to Africa, which
Yes, I was.
which is amazing. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So, I've always wanted to see Africa because that's where my ancestors are from. And I always wanted to like know what it's like to be on the land that, I think of myself as originating from Africa because my ancestors originated from Africa. And I think of myself as, being a native African, even though I was born here in the US. And I always want to see what it's like to be surrounded by people like myself, other Black people, people who got to know who they are. Because see, unlike African Americans, we as African Americans, we lost our identity when we with the slave trade and with everything that's going on with that. We don't even know who we are. And Africans over in Africa, they still have their identity because they didn't lose it all in that slave trade. And I want to know what it's like to be able to know what my identity is. And I want to know what it's like to be around people, who make me feel at home because they know what that's like. And I'm just really curious to know like what it's like when I don't have to worry about racism, what it's like when I don't have to worry about, being stared at because I'm the only Black person in a room. Like I want to know what it's like not to have to think about race ever.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing that you would think that way. That um, my parents were, they are from Mexico. And even though I was born here, I always say, no, my place is in Mexico. Because that's where my parents, you know,
Right.
that's where my parents' family, uh, came up from, and I was like, yeah, that's where I'm from.
Oh yeah. Mexico. I always feel like Mexico's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's pretty there. You guys get all the nice weather and all the nice beaches.
yeah. But I would be interested in to find out the aspect of how African Americans feel over there in Africa about the violence that's going on in this country. Because
I subscribe to some Black YouTubers who have gone over to Africa, as either being a digital nomad or just because they want to move abroad. I've followed other Black people who've actually moved to Africa, and they say how much peace they feel like. They're talking about how much like a weight has lifted off their shoulders. And they did a study. It's really interesting that like public health officials actually did a study about how racism affects our health outcomes, and it actually leads to premature death because of all kinds of things like not being taken seriously at the hospital, to all the stress that we have to deal with being in a racist society. And when Black people go to Africa, like they report, having better health outcomes. They report having less stress. Some Black people I've heard say that they lose weight without even trying. Their anxiety and depression is not as prominent when they are in Africa. I've heard that a lot of Black people say that their mental health has really improved, once they got out of the United States, because this country, oh my God, I'm not even in this country.
I mean, I don't even want to talk about what's going on in this country. Every single day, I turn on the news. Another Black or brown person is being killed by police
for no reason.
For no reason.
Ridiculous.
And I'm like, seriously, how much longer can we take this as people? I mean, I wish people would rise up and wake the hell up from whatever dreamland they're in, to the point to realize that, yeah, they're killing our people. What are we going to do about it?
Right.
And that's the main question. What are you going to do about it? It's like,
it's the question. Like it's all nice to like write all these memes on social media, and talk about social justice and everything. But my thing is this, like, what are people going to do about it? Are you going to take action?
Yeah. And it's been a way past time. We're not living in the Martin Luther King times where he was fighting for freedom for all of us, and now, I mean, if he was alive, he would probably be turning over. Well, if he died today, he would probably turn over in his grave, and say,
he would not be pleased at all with this.
No.
I'm actually going to move this so I can put it on the charger. So
you can do whatever you want.
Jesus.
You gave me a tour of your house.
Actually, I'm actually on a weekend trip to Michigan, so I'm in a hotel right now.
Wow, you're in Michigan.
Yeah, I decided to take myself a trip here. I'm in Traverse City because I always want to see Lake Michigan up close, and I decided to be at Traverse City.
Man, we could have done this interview in person.
Like, wait a minute, you're in Chicago, aren't you?
I'm in Chicago, like 4 hours away or 5 hours away, whatever.
Actually, hey, that wouldn't have been a bad idea to do this in person. Let me get my tripod to stand.
Well, whenever you come to Chicago, hey,
and I've been a few years ago to Chicago.
Yeah, people. You know people out here.
Yes, I do. I actually know quite a few. Timotheus Gordon's out there.
That's my guy.
I love Timotheus. We visited each other a few times, and Brian Irvin lives out there in Chicago.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah, there's a lot of Chicago peeps out there. It's a beautiful city too. Like you guys have, I like the Adler Planetarium, and I love that Lake Michigan shore. Like that lake is vast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I'm glad that you are able to come on to the show, and I'm glad that you are doing what you need to do to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Just know that you're not alone. You can always reach out. You can always let me know when you want to do a show. Even if it's just you and you want to do your own show, let me know. My platform is your platform.
Okay.
So, just let me know when you want to do that, because I'm paying for this. I'm paying for this every single month, and I hardly use it. I hardly use it. I'm coming to the point that I want to start using it more, to do shows like this.
Yeah.
To talk about mental health, to talk about whatever is that we need to focus on. I just can't right now. I just can't take my eyes off seeing the guy get shot by police over there
Yeah.
in Minnesota.
Honestly, it's hard to watch. It was hard for me to watch.
In Minnesota, just because uh air freshener he had by his window and supposedly they say an outstanding warrant, outstanding warrant. Seriously?
That's what I'm saying. Like for that, like, are they serious with that? Because that was absolutely atrocious, and it's beyond atrocious that they can get away with something like this. And that's what makes us sick and tired of the United States of America.
And when they talk about don't get me started with the race thing, because I mean when you got all these cops who are white killing a young black man,
Right.
that's what gets people outraged.
And when you think about the history of the police, so did you know that the police was actually created as like a slave patrol? Like when the police originally were formed, it was originally created to control slaves and to make sure that slaves didn't run away and whatnot. It was actually, created to control black people, as they say. So nowadays you see that they're mostly white cops in the police force everywhere you turn. And it's not surprising that we have what we have going on now because of the fact that it was originally created for that purpose. So it's like they're still trying to have, all these white supremacists as part of the police force for that reason. It's ridiculous. So it's like it goes to show that this racism has never gone away. Like just because we have integration and just because there's no slavery anymore, we still have that. And technically, if you look at the 13th Amendment, slavery is not actually outlawed because it says slavery can still be used as punishment of a crime, meaning that these for-profit prisons that they disproportionately lock black people up in and they disproportionately lock up minorities in, they use these prisoners to do forced and free labor, or actually very cheap labor. And so technically that's still slavery. So it's not that it's been completely outlawed, it's just been transferred.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know all that history. Girl, I mean, with all that knowledge you have within you, I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be depressed, but I would use that knowledge to educate people about that, because people haven't heard that history. I mean, I've heard about that before. Um, but I mean, it's just a search for a good reminder. Where did police come from?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was actually I subscribe to a black YouTube channel where we talk about like the movement to Africa and just like connecting black people from all over the world. It's a black empowerment channel, and that's where I learned that history from. Like they were talking about the origins of the police, and you know all of this stuff that's going on with the private prisons and the criminal justice system. So do you wonder why the mental health in amongst African Americans goes unaddressed? Like it goes, I think a lot of times it goes unaddressed because doctors stereotype us as being able to handle more pain, and so they ignore our needs and all of this that we go through with the police, with slavery, with white supremacy. Like I said earlier in the video, like this really does like it's making us have a collective trauma. Like us as black people, we have trauma because of racism. And even from generations, like even from previous generations, that trauma has passed down to us, in the current generation because of all that we're dealing with racism. Because you got to think that is traumatic.
That is traumatic.
It messes with our way of thinking. It's messing with our way of like being and our sense of confidence and our sense of self-love and self-esteem. Like black girls and black boys, like black kids in general, they grow up with low self-esteem. Like, always told from the day one that the only way to be beautiful is to have like a white dog, or to be white with blonde hair and blue eyes, and they're taught that the whiter you are, the more beautiful you are, and that's, what's messing up kids' self-esteem very early on. And it's really sad that some adults even grow up and have to deal with that too.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So,
Um,
here.
the history that you
Mm.
know, a lot of people don't know. So
Right.
I mean,
I was, kind of my jaw dropped when I found that out. But even though I was shocked, I wasn't shocked at the same time, just given the fact that it's always us who are disproportionately arrested for crimes and, charged unjustly and all of that. So,
and look at what this pandemic right now. A lot of black people are afraid. A lot of black and brown people are afraid to even get the vaccine,
right.
and there's valid reasons, because there's valid reasons behind that.
Exactly.
You
I
know,
actually posted about that a while ago when the vaccine first came out. I even shared in January that a lot of Black people are afraid to get this vaccine because of very valid reasons, for the simple fact that the syphilis experiment that happened, we're looking at the fact that this vaccine, to be honest, I think it was rushed. Like that's my controversial opinion. Second of all, we're looking at the fact that from what I've seen, a lot of Black people have had symptoms with the vaccine, like a lot of other Black people have had, adverse effects with this vaccine. And so it's like, when we're seeing things like this in the media constantly, it does make you question, is this vaccine worth it? Like, it does make people skeptical about taking it. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any means, but it's like there are some legitimate concerns that people are asking.
yeah, and they have valid reasons not to take the vaccine. I mean,
Right.
who wants to be used as a guinea pig like they
That's
did
what
back then,
I'm
like they did back in the past?
saying. Like when they first, when I saw something back in January when it first, when we first got the vaccine, they tested it on the first person they tested it on was a Black nurse, and I said to myself, like, oh, so are they trying to use us as guinea pigs? Like, that's what it made me think. Is that the case?
Yeah.
It's
I
the
mean,
cruelty.
duly noted. I've got both vaccines, and I haven't turned. Well, at least that I know of, I haven't turned to any shape or form, or I haven't the sex change hasn't happened or whatever.
Right.
The stuff that they're saying they're putting out. I'm talking about the stuff that they are putting out there of reasons why people don't take the vaccine. But
Right.
when it comes to black and brown people, they have valid reasons why.
Absolutely.
And I'm not gonna disagree with someone
Right.
that tells me I'm not taking the vaccine because of this. I
Yeah.
respect you. I respect you. You know.
Because it's like, there's a difference between, okay, conspiracy theories, and then there's a difference between that and, legitimate concerns of, whether this vaccine will have an adverse reaction to some of us, and whether or not, there will be that we are actually being guinea pigs. Like, there's a difference between believing in conspiracy theories and believing in that, being worried about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything bringing it back to mental health? Uh, what would you encourage people to do if they're going through a similar thing that you're going through?
Honestly, the one thing that I do encourage you to do is take care of yourself. Like, don't worry about how much it would cost to take care of yourself. Don't worry about what other people would think. Like, actually, it doesn't matter who these people are, like whether they're your family, your friends. If they're making you feel unsafe to be yourself, if they're making you feel like you're less than and they're contributing to that thought process you have, then it's okay to cut them off. It's okay to unfriend them, unfollow them. It's okay to distance yourself from them. It's okay to do that, whether they're family or whoever they are. Like, don't feel guilty just because you can't be around someone who's constantly making you feel, less than and contributing to that thought process of inadequacy. And second of all, like, whatever method you have of taking care of yourself, it's totally fine. Like if your method is, playing basketball, if your method is playing video games, if your method is, taking a trip or going shopping, once again, don't feel guilty about that. Like whatever works for you, I encourage you to do that and not feel guilty about doing that because it's what you have to do to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and that's what we gotta do to take care of ourselves. Is there anything else you would like to say to people?
I also would like to say that
This is
this,
your time. This is your time. So this is my way of showing you. This is my way of showing you that this is your time. All right. I've been enough time on the screen, so
well, the other thing I want to say to everybody who has a loved one who has mental illness, or if you have a friend or a loved one who struggles with this, please understand where they're coming from. Please, be there to support them, and don't think of it. Try not to think of them as like being attention seeking or looking for some kind of easy way out. Like actually be there to support them and actually validate what they're saying and be a good listener, be an ear for them, be someone that they can count on. Like that's the best way that I can tell you to support someone who does have mental illness. Like actually make them feel like a human being and not just dismiss them at all because you don't understand that can make a world of difference. Like that can mean the world between someone who is about on the edge and someone who actually feels a sense of hope when they get up in the morning. And I hope that that tip is helpful to you guys. I hope that you would take that seriously.
cool. How did that feel to be by yourself on the screen?
It felt weird. Strange.
Well, I do that once in a while because I want people to open up and
Right.
you know um say what you want to say. It's my platform, but okay, I think we lost her for a second. Let's give it a second or two. I'm gonna give it a second or two, people. I think we lost her for a second. I think we lost her for a second. Okay. Let me see if she pops up on the screen again. If she decides to pop up or her screen fixes, I will bring her back on the screen. Um, but people, talking about mental illness is okay. Give me 1 second. She just texted me. Give me 1 second. Okay. Let's see. Hey, you're coming back on? Question mark. Yeah, mental health, mental illness is something that should be talked about, and um, there are resources out there. Give me 1 second, people. Um, okay. Mental health is something that shouldn't be played around with whatsoever. So let me just see if she is coming back on. Yep. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, that's what I would have to say. Mental illness is something that shouldn't be played with. Okay. And she's back.
I,
What happened?
I don't know what the heck happened with this like connection, this Wi-Fi connection in this place.
Ay, ay, ay.
It was weird.
Yeah. Well, you didn't finish your thought. Did you?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What was I in the middle of saying before all this?
Well, I was asking you, how did it feel to be by yourself on the screen?
It felt kind of nerve wracking at first. Like I was doing a YouTube video. That's how it felt. Like it felt kind of like, oh, what do I say to this audience by myself?
No, I mean it's yours. It's. I want. That's my way of showing you that. I mean, it's your time. I brought you
Mm.
on here. Um, you're not alone, obviously, because I can pop in and out, pop in and
Mm.
so you're not alone. And I'm glad that you came on. I want to do this more often.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. What do you think about doing this show once a week?
Actually, you know what? I think that that's feasible. I would love to.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Cool. Maybe. When do you leave to Africa?
I'm actually leaving toward the end of the month. Like I'm leaving on the 26th of April.
Ooh.
So that's tentative. That could change, but either way, that's around the time I'm leaving.
Yeah, I would love to do a show from. I would love you to do a show from Africa. Like, be like, ooh, how it looks and everything. Because the environment is not different. It's not the same as here.
No,
So
no.
yeah,
And from Africa, from what I've seen of it, the American media wants to make it seem like it's full of slums and that it's nothing there, but in reality, it's really beautiful there. Like there's actual cities there. They've got beautiful oceans, beautiful beaches. It's not what American media likes to make it out to be.
yep,
I think they propagandize that on purpose so that people don't want to go to Africa.
yeah. Well, I want you to have a blessed day,
You
and
too.
if you need anything, if you want to do this again throughout the week,
Sure.
let's do this. I don't mind how many times we do this throughout the week. Um,
Absolutely.
every show can be a different topic, uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, we can continue the conversation about mental health and other things, other things that might come up.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, Shalise, it was good to have you on here. Um, like I said, I hope you have an awesome day, and please take care of yourself. And
Thank you so much. And you do the same. Like we all need it because of this pandemic.
yeah, we all need it. Yeah. Um, yeah. That's. I'll text you later.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay. And to all my people watching, I will see you later. Bye.